Pour the cup. Let's talk.
Right here at the table where the good talk start. We're feeding your mind and strengthening your heart. From doctors to wellness and the choices we make. Giving you the knowledge everybody should take. Hey. Your healthy Java. Bringing you the info you need to get healthy. Stay healthy. And live your life strong and believe. Your healthy Java. Health in every cup. Mind and body conversations that lift the whole community up. Stay healthy.
Pour the cup. Let's talk.
Right here at the table where the good talk start. We're feeding your mind and strengthening your heart. From doctors to wellness and the choices we make. Giving you the knowledge everybody should take. Hey. Your healthy Java. Bringing you the info you need to get healthy. Stay healthy. And live your life strong and believe. Your healthy Java. Health in every cup. Mind and body conversations that lift the whole community up. Stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's percolating.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too.
Java.
Percolating.
Get a vibe, stay ready.
Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady.
Pull up a chair, yeah. Take a sip with me.
Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, the love percolating.
Percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning.
That morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, the love.
Percolating.
Yeah.
Java with Jimmy. Good morning.
That morning.
Percolating.
Yeah, we in it.
Yeah, we in it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Java with Jimmy.
Percolating.
Yeah, we in it.
Yeah, we in it.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Listen quickly. My mother just texted me and said, turn on Facebook. Can somebody verify that I am on Java with Jimmy and also James W. Hills on Facebook? I believe that I am. I'm looking on James. Yep, I'm over there. And on Java, let me see if I'm over there. This is one of the things that, when you work with other platforms, you have to deal with. But let's just test that real quick before we go into our formal welcome this morning. Yeah, well, hold on. I see it on James. Let me just see if it's on Java. Hold on. What you do have to do sometimes is if you go to the page, okay, yeah, I'm over there. You have to go to the page and refresh it. Especially if you have a Droid. I'm not going to talk trash this morning. I forgot to close the door. We have a little glare from the sun, but I'm glad the sun is out this morning. Again, welcome to the Java Cafe this morning. Do me a favor. If you have not liked or subscribed, followed us on YouTube, Facebook. We just talked about 2 pages there, Java with Jimmy, as well as James W. Hills. Make sure you go follow us there. Subscribe on our YouTube channel, as well as Twitter, and of course, Instagram. Listen, for the past couple of years on Testimony Tuesday, we have talked about the difference between a testimony in the context of something happening that's sort of out of your control, and it tests your patience. It tests your ability to handle anxiety, depression, and things like that. Then there are things that we choose to test ourselves. And sometimes those can cause anxiety, depression, bewilderment, not knowing what's next. In the context of what's been going on the past couple of days on this Testimony Tuesday, I'm going to challenge us to test ourselves, to allow ourselves to think different, allow ourselves to move different with the intentionality of not allowing the things over which we have no control to have such a negative influence on us. And well, Jimmy, James, what are you talking about? Yesterday was a very interesting day when it comes to current events, things going on in our community. For those of us that see the results of a lot of systemic structures that contribute to situations like we saw yesterday. Well, what are you talking about? For those of you that don't know, there was a gunman that had past history, and my understanding through reading a few stories is that he had communicated, or his probation officer had concerns about some potential actions. They put a warning out, and those actions unfortunately came to be. There was also the incident the night before on Mother's Day where someone was killed. My understanding is there was an incident either this morning or late last night, and it's a lot. I put up a post yesterday and said there's a lot going on. Remember to breathe. And so in the context, again, of Testimony Tuesday and us making a decision to test ourselves, part of the discussion I'd like to have today is around our quality of life. One of the other things that came up minimally, I was riding down the street and I was triggered. I'll own it. I was triggered by the fact that I saw yellow metal devices on people's tires, AKA BTD. And I spelled it out because a few people have got on me about acronyms. Boston Traffic Department yesterday was in Dorchester putting out boots. And I was triggered. And I went to social media to warn the people, because I know what it is to get ready to come outside. You have not paid your tickets. And for those of you that don't know, 1, pay your tickets. 2, though the messengers, a couple of them were interesting and a couple of them were a part of us and family, there were a couple of folks that just took that opportunity to right wing, pay your tickets. Ugh. Then there was some of us that in family was doing it in love and accountability. But the thing is, pay your ticket as soon as you get it. And also, upon the occurrence of you getting a 5th ticket, the city of Boston can come and boot your car. Then I believe after 48 to 72 hours, if you don't get the boot removed and your car is considered somewhat abandoned, they can come and tow it. Ask me how I know. How y'all doing? And so from minimal things like that, and for some it's minimal, but imagine you're struggling. Imagine you didn't know you got the tickets over there on the dresser and you keep telling yourself you're going to pay them. You get the 5th ticket. You come out to get ready to go to work, drop your kids at school, and you got a boot. It is the responsibility of the individual. However, I was triggered and I was trying to warn the people. And that is a little bit of the conversation we're going to have in a few minutes. So there's that piece. And then also, I put up a post the other day. Minyard Culpepper, Brian Worrell had um, a panel or conversation about Nubian Square, the quality of life. And we're going to talk about our roles in our quality of life in just a few moments in that balance piece. But they are working on and examining the impact of addiction and the economy and everything that's going on in Nubian Square. And I was aware of that. And I simply put up a post and said, while we're paying attention to Nubian Square, let's talk about Grove Hall between Flames and the church, and also in Dorchester, right across the street from Ashmont. Some of you may have seen a video going around a few weeks ago where there was an interaction with the police and folks that are that congregate and gather in that area. And so how do I do this? All right. We have a right to a peaceful quality of life as a community. Absolutely. Municipalities and states that take our tax money for trash removal, street cleaning, public schools, water and sewer, working traffic lights. There was a commentary by Brother Billings about BTD paying attention to broken traffic lights and things like that. There are things that we contribute to that gives revenue to the municipality of whatever city we're in and the state as well. And so we do have a right to make sure that anything that for which they are responsible for our quality of life, that they're doing effectively. And when it's not done right, they are transparent and accountable, AKA, this will bring it home for y'all real good. Snow removal. All right. That's the municipal side. When it comes to our quality of life, I want to ask you all, in reference to what I talked about, Nubian Square addiction. Addiction is a sickness with which people are dealing often, and it's not just those that are dealing with methadone and other quote unquote hard substances. There's alcoholism, sex addiction, gambling addiction, shopping addiction, all of that. However, for years it's been bought, and I've been aware of it, but in 2020, Brother Domingo and Yahira, and her, I'm thinking of her Facebook name and I can't, Yahira Lopez. I was seeing posts, and even way before that, a couple of brothers, including Carlos, heroin in the park, needles in the park, started with a hashtag on Twitter. Violence in Boston started with a hashtag on Twitter. And it turned into something that both of them were movements. And the South End Lower Roxbury collaboration is like a collaborative iteration of a lot of the work that Domingo and Yahira led around Mass and Cass some years ago. One of the things, or a few of the things that are raised, are the individual impact of addiction on the neighbors. Those that are dealing with addiction aren't as concerned about their own quality of life as far as their health care, as far as their hygiene, but where they defecate and urinate on people's property. And so their quality of life due to addiction is bad. And they will do what it is they need to do to support their habit, namely so, not close to Mass and Cass, but up the street. I'm aware the other day that someone dealing with addiction actually broke into a car and took, the person had the ashes of a family member with them. And they got caught. I actually walked up on them getting caught. And that is a quality of life impact on those that are in community, not dealing with addiction, but they're being impacted. So I want to level set that. However, sometimes those dealing with addiction congregate and gather just to, every community, every marginalized, any sect of people of different experiences do have a right to come together in fellowship, family. For some, based on what they've been through, they have chosen families. I'm just going to cut to the chase and say that sometimes the congregating, and there were comments on my post that the congregating impacts the quality of life of the neighbors, from the addiction itself to the impact or results thereof. Trash, needles, violence. The other thing we have to name is that there are people that seize on the addiction, the sickness of addiction. There are people that sometimes in the congregating are supplying the addiction. From Mass and Cass, and I said some years ago, all the way up to Mattapan. I was on River Street one day, and I saw what I perceived as individuals that were dealing with addiction, the leaning over, we can't presume, but if you've been in community long enough, you can, sometimes we've observed someone and we'll say, oh, they're on something. That sort of perception that I had. And so there are those that seize on the addiction and are part of the congregating that causes crime, the distribution of the substances. You all remember a couple of years ago, those that were distributing had products that were laced with fentanyl, and we were losing people. I raised this today because I'll be honest, in reference also to the violence, I'm tired. And what I mean by I'm tired is, mixed with this definition, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. I'm tired of fussing. I'm tired of attempting to coalesce and convene and build consensus among us for our power to make demands, not just complain, make demands from a suggestion, experiential perspective. And I've observed things for the last couple of days, and in the frame of Testimony Tuesday, and saying that we have to test ourselves. What is it that we as a community are going to do differently? With what I said, if you're just joining, the municipality, the state, the county, they have the responsibility of taking our tax dollars, state and federal grants that the municipalities get, federal grants that the state get, and then the feds through legislation. They have a responsibility for the quality of life around basic city services. I said that. I made that plain, level set that. So we do have to hold them accountable. But then how do we hold ourselves accountable? Barring those that are dealing with addiction, there are some, I have by perception believe, in my humble opinion, there are some that aren't dealing with addiction. Yes, let's name joblessness, being unhoused. Where is the balance of understanding that? And then at what level does the understanding get exacerbated or exhausted based on the impact to those that may not right now be dealing with the same issues? Where is that balance? Where is the individual accountability and responsibility, and communal as well? That's the testing on Testimony Tuesday that I'd like to have a discussion with you about today. I have not been in the comments as of yet. There are 61 of them just on Facebook. So we're going to go in and get ready to say hello. And thank you for listening to my long opening this morning. Oh boy, a lot of comments. First person in the Java Cafe this morning is Mama Java. Good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Dina, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. I'm curious when I scroll down and see what comments you put. Again, Nakia, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Mother Lisa Davis, good morning to you from the DMV. Terrific Tuesday. Morning, Jimmy, my beautiful sis Gina, and the entire Java family. Nicole, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Sister Debbie, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Michelle D. Smith, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Jenny Williams, Ma, we're going to make Jenny an adopted mother on the mother's board. Jenny, I saw your post. And so the adopted mothers that aren't mother's age, they kind of also help and support the mothers. And so, Jenny, you're going to be a junior mother. But happy belated Mother's Day to you, sis. Dina, I'm glad you love all the Java with Jimmy songs. Thank God for AI and Suno. Dina, thank you. I think, and hopefully, Ma, you're all set with seeing me across all platforms as you go and support. Jenny said, if we pre-registered for the health fair, should we receive some type of confirmation? Curious if I did it right last week. I have things set up. I believe that you should get a thank you when you register. However, you don't need a confirmation to attend. The pre-registration gives me an idea for numbers as far as food, tables I need to have for, like our mothers and things like that. So you are all set. Anyone that registered is all set. Sharon Cornelius, Pastor Sharon Cornelius. Good morning. Good to see you in the room. Jenny said that yesterday was another tragic example that mental health is real. And Jenny, that is the related things that I said in the opening, that we see the results of a lot of stuff that led up to a point that where people, for various reasons, are making decisions that aren't healthy for them or the community. Michelle D. Smith is saying, Jenny, you should receive it soon. I received my email confirmation yesterday, registered 3 weeks ago. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Michelle D. Smith. Cheryl, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Dina said, how about people just read signs and they won't get a ticket? To the ticket conversation, yes. And I'll be honest, I was parking somewhere. I'm more attentive now because, like I said, I've been triggered by tickets and yellow metal things on my tire at least once, twice. Once is enough. Oh, sun just went down. So, pay attention to the signs. The other day I went to park. I got out the car and Ma was with me. Ma was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm getting out and look at the sign to make sure I don't come out with a ticket. So to Dina's point, yes, you do need to look at the signs. Miss Teresa, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. I just want to pause and thank Miss Teresa for making sure we have some items available for you all on Saturday. Thank you for the love and support and patience. I got her something yesterday that I was supposed to get her like last week. All right, here we go with a lot of the comments, I believe, in the conversation around addiction and our quality of life. Dina, who has addressed this and brought this topic up in the Java Cafe before and has called 311. She's stating, I am a homeowner. I take care of my property in the surrounding area. We all can play our part and deserve the best quality of life. The city needs to clean it up. We have money for everything they want, so they need to use them funds towards helping the homeless and addicted. I agree. I definitely agree. And Dina, I think you've observed this conversation. Boston is it's no cap, but Boston is in a very interesting situation because a lot of people come here because of the centralization down in the Mass and Cass area. Some do come look for services. And as I said earlier, there are people that are in the crowd among them that are distributing items to support their addiction. I read a story 2 or 3 weeks ago about a young lady that came. I mean, let me not lie. I read a little bit, skimmed across the story because the title caught me, where a young lady came to find her boyfriend on Mass and Cass, and now she's on Mass and Cass with him. And so that addiction thing, we have to understand and know and always keep at the forefront that it is a sickness. And to, I believe, Jenny's point, mental health is a part of it because a lot of times, yes, there's peer pressure. Young people, they try things and things like that. But a lot of people sometimes try certain drugs as an escape. A lot of us in our own ways have a bad day all the time. It's been a day. I need an espresso martini. I want to say something that hurts some of us, but it's the same thing. We all have different types of addictions, and how they display themselves at what levels varies. And so maybe that'll help us, understand when sometimes there are thoughts of judgment through valid frustration, through the impact on our quality of life. Maybe that understanding will keep us sensitive to try to ensure that mental health services are in place, and addressing addiction is a part of that. Jenny also mentioned that I love that Domingos DeRosa, he's such a good dude. He really cares for community. Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother Carlton, I think is in the room. Good morning to you. Dina is also saying that I will share there are neighborhoods in Boston that do not have the same issues. Why? What is the city doing or not doing in those neighborhoods? The city needs to spread it out, and then we will all be equal. As for the landlords that have renter, you need to hold your renter to a higher standard for cleanliness and hold landlords to higher standards so they are not slumlords. Dina, if I could interject in that first sentence there, what is the city doing or not doing in those neighborhoods? There's that part of it that is definitely true. Then there's the other piece that because in some neighborhoods, there are some neighbors, civic organizing groups, landlords, business owners that just will not. At worst, they don't understand, and there's no sensitivity to the addiction. To some that are midline that understand the addiction, but they're not putting up with crime and a lower level of a quality of life. And so even away from addiction, to Dina's point, street cleaning. There's the young man, he ran for mayor. I want to say Alex something. He has a few videos up where he's went around the city, and sometimes it's city property and sometimes it's not. It's in the city of Boston, but if you send city staff out to clean it up on state property, all that jurisdictional stuff, systems and structures. Some of it is needed and valid. The city knows what it needs to do, and the state should know what it needs to do. My point is that away from the addiction, basic city services around street cleaning, trash removal, ISD codes. Here's a big one. Parking enforcement. I'm going to go to other comments. Ari's over somewhere in the world. I'm waiting to see her comments. I love sharing her post every now and then. The good brother JL, John Smith, Frederick Hampton. Them opioids are different. We had those that were dealing with crack here forever, and it was never this bad. It depends on experience and where you were, because I remember the crack epidemic, and it was bad. But the level of bad, let's not compare that it's bad, and all of us need to be sensitive to those dealing with addiction and those that are supposed to be helping, and our elected leaders and municipal leaders and those that are running the programs that are supposed to treat. We would hope move with urgency, with some level of sensitivity to the impact on our quality of life. I'm really trying to be intentional here, you all. Dina said that code enforcement needs to give out more tickets, and so does housing department, to these slumlords. Michelle D. Smith is saying, got to get to action, speaks louder than words regarding all issues to improve the quality of life of residents in every hood. Action, solutions, accountability. Absolutely. Dot Bowers, good morning to you. Shamika, good morning. I visited with Lakeisha yesterday. And I did not know you all were related. So good to see you in the room. And I was excited when she said that. Good to see you in the room. My condolences to you. When you say my name, I want to see a smile, not an eye, because I have an idea that it's going to be some good trouble. All right, I'm just catching up with some of the comments. Miss Teresa is saying, the email, there is no email confirmation. You just register for the numbers, but everybody is all set who registered, even if you didn't pre-register. The only difference is you're not entered into the raffle. You can register on site, but everybody that registered is all set. Miss Teresa said, I'm accustomed to adapt to event mode. Yes, Lord, and post-event mode, because Saturday when we leave there's event mode and then D&D, and I got all type of modes. Busy mode, event mode. Dina is saying with a smile, Dina Marshall Tarver, they need to spread out the clinics, have 4 mini clinics and assign which one people go to. That way you won't get the crowds, and it may be easier to control the sellers while people are trying to get help. There's that school of thought, Dina, and then there are some, to your point earlier around cleanliness and basic city services, that was a push of some of the work to decentralize that area with the programs and treatment. But then the question is where? If you remember some years ago, there was a move when the Long Island shelter and program, when the bridge had to be torn down, there was a suggestion to have treatment done at the old Jewish Memorial Hospital over by Townsend Street. The community was like, no. There was a school near, a park, and things like that. And so there are a lot of neighborhoods that will not, I believe per zoning, that a business would have to get community sign off to get the licensing and the permitting. And there are some neighborhoods that just won't allow those clinics to go. So that's been a part of the ongoing back and forth cyclical part of this conversation. And at the end of it, we still have people dealing with addiction that are not, those that want, that are not getting the services that they need. Milton, my brother, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Just to see you here is good enough. For those of you who are wondering why the pause and the sip, Brother Milton knows that beaches, balconies are my thing, and I have not been able to look at a beach from a 16th floor balcony in room 1648 or 1646 at the Royal Palm on Collins Ave in Miami. Milton, I appreciate the trigger this morning. Love you, bro. You deserve it. I hope you and Denise are having a good time this morning. Latoya, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Brother D, it is Wavy in the Java Cafe. Good morning to you. Cora, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. I want to hear your thoughts, you all, about the balance of yes, the municipal, yes, people are dealing with addiction. Where is the balance of how we handle the day-to-day, impact on us? Phoenix print temps, too many. Phoenix print temps came in with violence. I'm joking, not violence. You know what I mean. Too many poverty pimps, not enough those moving with love in community. Yeah, that'll take me down a whole different pathway. I'll just say that with understanding of things present around sexual abuse, advances being made to other people in the workplace, understanding all of that, and I've said this at least 3 or 4 times in the 6 years. What's wrong with love? Why have we got away from love? Love for humanity. Phileo love. Philadelphia. Oh, there goes one of those words. City of brotherly love. Love for humanity. love for self. So I like that about moving with love in community. Absolutely. Dina said, I will be honest, I have sensitivity toward those addicted, but there are often times that a frustration and anger take over and my sensitivity goes out the window. And that's the point that I'm speaking to, Dina, because you cleaned your house on Saturday night. You're not too far from Ziegler and Harrison. And you come out and see someone defecated on your porch, or someone stole a bag and they emptied it to search it in your backyard. That's real. And no one should be judged for the damn moment. But and Dina, this is how I'm attempting to test ourselves today of how, Dina, I'll ask you, how do you find the balance in that moment? The sensitivity of understanding, we understand in the moment we can be upset and then we, pull ourselves back. But Dina, how do you and others, how are you all balancing the sensitivity to addiction on the violence piece, the sensitivity that there are systems and structures that have led to a lot of our young men making decisions that are not healthy for them or community? But then, as much as it hurts, there's that 1% that just don't want the help or want to change. And in the addiction space, a couple of years ago, the mayor was on, and when they were doing the one-on-one and working with people, she said there was a percentage of those that did not want services. So it's a hard balance. And on Testimony Tuesday, I'm asking you all how we test ourselves to love, to Phoenix's point, to have the sensitivity that Dina talks about, but then in real life, she comes outside and sees something like what I just described. I'm curious to your thoughts. Milton is saying, you over there living $1,000 worth. Phoenix Temp says, bring them to Chestnut. I snicker because to my point earlier, y'all, I can't even get the words out. You all know those folks over in Chestnut Hill is not going to allow for one of the 4 places that Dina talked about in spreading out treatment. But I hear your point. Bring them to Chestnut Hill, and and the white areas, they stay placing the rehab in Dorchester and Roxbury. To your point, in Roxbury. Dina, other towns give pushback for now. They have to spread the wealth to other parts of Boston. And I mean, this is, I said even before Java with Jimmy, when we were on Mass and Cass and had the hashtag and was going off on Twitter and whatnot, when people are dealing with substance issues that result in an arrest, they are asked their last address. Presumably there's a zip code. My suggestion was that, and then this, oh God, I was going to say this goes back to Charlie Baker. It does. My suggestion was that Charlie Baker work with the state police department, Boston Police Department that does most of the arrest, and the top 10 reported zip codes that people have migrated into Boston, presumably, hopefully for services. Some do unfortunately come because they know that there's access at Mass and Cass to treat their sickness and addiction. Pull those municipalities and cities in the state house and have a conversation. Boston can no longer bear the brunt. You all have to figure it out there. And two, I'm just thinking about this in real time, to Phoenix's point and what Dina said earlier. Not only in certain areas will they not allow it to happen. In some cultures and in spaces and places, it's swept up under the rug. It's they push them out, the home, the city. And being balanced, a lot of parents and I'm talking about our suburb folks, a lot of our parents and whatnot, they're frustrated. They have spent thousands of dollars sending them off to Arizona to treatment and get clean and things like that. So there's the violence and addiction. These things are so multifaceted. This is why on Testimony Tuesday, I'm bringing us back. I'm testing us to figure out, how do we come off the cyclical road and not, and so, Deprecia, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Wavy blessings to everybody in the Java Cafe, and especially Jenny. Phoenix Temps, I'm trying. I ain't always got it right, and I have my opinions, but no, to your point, it's love at the heart of all of this. Belinda, charter member, supporter, good, great morning, Java family, Mama Java and Java aunties. Oh, I got the room. That hotel ain't open back up yet. I've been searching. They renovated, and I'm waiting to see the renovations, and it's not there yet. Plus, I don't know if I'm going to Florida, because they don't have as many vaccinations and whatnot. While I'm saying that, hantavirus, just be cognizant, pay attention, check Google, stay up to date of what's going on with that. Dina said, all my life, I've been a tattle talker, laugh out loud, I report. I said, I like tattle talker rather than the S word, other one. The police in Brookline and Chestnut Hill will be there in 5 minutes after someone or person calls, and there will be many cars that pull up for every one person, or even one person, I believe. I like what Michelle D. Smith said. You're a conscious citizen. Maybe that's in response to Dina's point. Miss Teresa is saying it's a scary time because the drugs out there are now creating soulless monsters. Sadly, this is why many of us drop our heads and keep moving, because we don't know what the consequences are. The N word, Miss T, a little bit interesting. There's been observation from other folks that are similar, like the addiction and the sickness just has them so laser focused. And for those of you that don't know, and this may be elementary, one of the key things that someone over the years of talking to people dealing with addiction panels and things like that, there are certain substances that you get that first one-time high. And what they're doing is they're chasing that to get that again. They'll never, because it was the first time. And so that laser tunnel focus on after that is what drives. And some of these substances are biologically addictive. That's why when they go to detox, they do what, y'all? They get sick. They so it's a lot. Miss T, I definitely understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying that so no one else won't be trying to say something. Kelly McGrath is saying open Long Island and 100 others need to be doing more. That is so to the point about communities in Chestnut Hill. Quincy was like, we ain't letting the trucks and stuff come in there to finish building. And I looked the other day when I was driving down Morrissey Boulevard, and if you look real good in the right direction, you used to be able to see some of the bridge that takes you out from the harbor the harbor, from Quincy to Long Island. And you see some of the, I guess they would be pilings or pillars, the thing that would hold the bridge. They got to one point, and Quincy was like, I'm not really sure where that is. It's 10:45. We are going to get ready to wrap up. Hi, Milagro. That was your friend, Alexa. First, Jenny. Tashad said that Florida is Florida is very different in so many ways, and I hate that it is, because I'm a creature of habit. And once I found that sand dune and seeing the sunrise at 1646 or 1648 is different in so many ways. But that vaccination, relaxation, and all that other stuff, I'm like, Hantavirus, the United States is the only country that will not quarantine and isolate these people for 42 days. They are allowing them to self-isolate with monitoring. I'm beginning to believe that these people just look. Nope, I'm going to hold that thought. Dina Marshall Tarver, smile, is saying, when I worked at BMC, they would send out texts to be careful as employees had violent encounters with those addicted with leaving work. You never know what will happen just walking past someone. And that's with addiction and also those that are dealing, with issues of violence. Before I go, I am going to level set because knowledge is power. And while all incidents of violence, no matter what, domestic robberies or whatever, I want to make sure one of the pillars of this platform is to try to, as much as possible, have accurate information. And I tell y'all all the time, one of the reasons that I've run from the term journalist because of the integrity and the research and all that. And yes, however, in reference to the incidents over the last couple of days, my understanding is from a couple of sources. Where is it? So let me also say this. What happened in Cambridge? Nope, I'm gonna leave it. The incident on Wilson Street was drug robbery related. Geneva was group violence, and there was an incident around Dorchester, around Kingsdale, that unfortunately was a domestic. The reason why I share that is because to understand the notion of community violence, random violence picking up again, it has impact on me as far as the work. And then I know that there are people that have children that are in these areas that, are wondering of sending their child outside to the store or anything. And so I just want to level set that though any incidents of violence are an issue, these weren't sort of generally all. One was group violence, but the gang, youth, back and forth, territorial youth gun violence was not the situation in these last three. To Dina's point, those drugs are affecting their brain, and I believe they do not truly realize what they're doing. And that kind of, to what Miss Teresa's point was saying, the appearing of soul, of not having anything there, that they're just, so kind of a long way today for us to really. The one thing that we can walk away with and test ourselves on this Testimony Tuesday in relation to addiction and things going on in our community is testing ourselves to Dina's example of having a sensitivity. And Dina, I wasn't sure if you answered, but the like, how do you handle the moment of frustration, when you come outside and see that situation? But it's a hard balance, and I would just suggest to us that we test ourselves to understand the sensitivity, take it to the scripture there, but for the grace of God, go I, because a lot of us were exposed to, some of us in this audience have actually dealt with certain levels of substance addiction. And so if that helps keep our sensitivity, with also understanding that, I guess one of the actions that we can do is, to Dina's point of 311 when there are incidents, because and I'll end with this, that is that 311 system is data driven. And the more, if my belief and hope is that if 311 is starting to see on their dashboard more calls around trash or addiction related or whatever, that area is going to get some attention. The other thing is that gives your city councilors, your district, or one of all four at 4, the ability to go to 311 or ONS or someone on the other side in the administration to say, hey, based on the data I got from 311, this is an issue for my constituents. And so the two actions is remember the sensitivity, call 311 when you need to. And then on the piece, and Dina, are you in here? Did you put anything yet? On the piece of balancing the frustration and the sensitivity, off the top of my head, I would say sit with and acknowledge the frustration. It is real. Call 311, take a picture, place the report. And for most of us, I know that somewhere in the time of frustration, while cleaning up, while hosing down the area, while getting gloves and picking up the trash and being careful for, maybe a needle being there, somewhere in our heart, something kicks in and I can't, I feel sorry for them. You know what I mean? And most of us that are in here now, I presume that somewhere in that process that the thought kicks in. And so here's Dina. Thank you, sis. I get pissed off, and if I see the person, I will say something, but it doesn't help them. I have to clean the mess up, whatever it is. I have given a few water because I've seen them digging in the trash. And so there's that compassion piece that even still when you're pissed, you're going to make sure they're hydrated. For 99.9% of us, outside of some people at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and their counterparts, our humanity does kick in. It does. It does. And so, if nothing else, we're leaving today with that piece around deal with the Dina. Thank you for your transparency, but thank you for demonstrating the humanity in offering them the water. Kelly McGrath is saying, I'm working on a 311 pilot to get more community members involved. I'll be meeting with ONS soon. If anyone interested in joining from other neighborhoods, please let me know. Director at BostonMainStreets.org, BrightonMainStreets.org, director at BrightonMainStreets.org. Thank you for that information, Kelly. Miss Teresa, we have got to continue to pray for that God delivers them no matter how frustrated we are. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, y'all, forgive me. Time to get off of here because I'm stretching. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Don't forget Thursday, we will not be here. Please keep the Santos, Winston, and everybody, the Eagles. Please keep them in your prayers. I got to sit with Keisha last night. She's still the same from like middle school. And so, yep, we will not be here Thursday, but we will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Oh, before I go, I have to thank our sponsors. One of them, I'll just say, how can I say this? They've been a part of the health fair all 5 years. This year, some of the processes almost resulted in them not being a part this year. However, when I got off of this show yesterday, I had a text from a doctor and a bigwig. So I want to let you all know that we want to thank our sponsors, Bayer, Massachusetts Health Connector, and Johnson & Johnson for sponsoring the health fair on Saturday. And so when you see those posts thanking them, y'all put thank you and hit that share button, because I know sometimes the social media over those organizations and corporations are looking. So we really appreciate the partnership and the sponsorship. So that's it for me. We'll see everyone tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a great day, everybody.